Hello, what's going on, everybody? We'll give everyone just a second to get here. Welcome to the first business review that we are going to be doing live here. A number of people have reached out to me based on the last post that I did in the group and showed interest in having their businesses reviewed for, federal government contracting. So that's what I'll be doing today. Today, we will be looking at capability statement. We'll be looking at a website actually that was provided to me, and also the SAM profile, and then hopefully the dynamic small business search as well. So that's actually 4 different things that we will be checking out today. So this is meant to be an educational thing for you guys that are watching. I'm going to weigh in with my 2 cents on things that I think are good and great, and maybe a couple of areas for improvement, kind of depending on what we're looking at. Before we get started and we get into it, one thing I want to do, since we are looking at capability statements today, if you do not have a capability statement, or if you're not happy with your company's capability statement, what you can do is you go to my website, govkidmethod.com, and then once you're there, go over to the GovCon resources tab. So now you're at the GovCon resources tab, and then once you get there, you scroll down, and you'll see at the very bottom of the resources are 2 new resources that I've added here just for you guys. It's capability statement template 1, number 1, and number 2. You can click on either of those if you don't have a cape statement. It'll take you to this capability statement page. This video here is taken from my course, Winning Government Contracts, and explains the important elements of a capability statement. So if you're kind of new or you're not sure, but if you already know, you can skip that. But I recommend that you just take a peek at that. Then you scroll down to the bottom. This will actually give you 2 buttons: download 1, download 2. If you want, like I said, if you're new and you don't want to pay somebody, tens or hundreds of dollars to make you a capability statement, which I highly recommend that you avoid doing, especially when you're getting started out, because you can do it yourself. And I'm giving you guys both of these templates. All you gotta do is click download. You can take them both if you want. They're yours. They're totally editable. You can edit the colors, the photos, obviously all the NAICS codes, past performance, anything that you want. It's totally editable. So I wanted to start today off with letting you guys know that that is now new on the website for you, since we will be looking at a capability statement today. And if you're feeling left out or whatever, you don't have to feel that way. So without any further ado, with that being said, and after this is over, I'll put the link for this in the comments for anybody who's watching on replay. But you guys go to my website, GovCon resources, then click on the capability statements. You can get your cape statements here. So today we are looking at URS, Universal Resolution Services. We'll be doing a live business review of that company. That was the first person who reached out to me from the group. And so we'll be taking a look at the capability statement first for that company. So this is the capability statement that we have for Universal Resolution Services, URS. Right off the bat, this is a very aesthetically pleasing capability statement to me. It's very, well organized. It looks professional. Just with a nice fade and everything like that. It looks professionally done. I'm not sure if this person had this created, for them, or if they created it themselves, but they did a really good job. The other thing I like about it, just looking at it, the use of colors. I've said before, the use of colors should be rather humble. Don't use a whole lot of colors in your capability statement, especially bright, crazy colors. And the reason for that is contracting officers, they like to print out your capability statement, and literally they're on a budget for color printing. So if you have something that is using a lot of color, then it's just not the best, and I recommend that you stay away from that. So for this capability statement, the use of color is very modest. It's a mix of white, which is great, a little bit of gray, and just one central theme of color throughout of this purple. And when we go to take a look at the website, you'll see some of the same colors used as well. And this goes on to a whole nother level of branding is essentially what they've done here. They've done a very well aesthetically pleasing way of branding their capability statement with their company. So just like I said, just off the bat, those are the elements that jump out to me. But we need to get into the core of the important elements of a capability statement. So I'm going to I'll zoom in and I'll take it off the top here. So on the top left, hopefully you can see that a little better after I've zoomed, we have company information. This is what I would call, the company POC or the company, summary profile. And we have the company name, we have the address, which is great. We know that they're out of Texas. And we have point of contact, including a phone number and an email address, as well as their website. That's all really good stuff. Some people will miss, like one of those. Not everybody has a website, so it's great if you do, even if it's just to have some of the basic information. And we'll be taking a look at the website today. There's two pieces of information in here that I would like to see added. And if not in this block somewhere, but I would recommend that it be in this block. And these two pieces of information are, critical. And just by me saying two, some of you might know what I'm alluding to. I'm going to zoom out and just make sure I didn't miss it. Yeah. So the company's Cage and Dunn's number should actually be included in this information. And you want to have it at a place where a contracting officer is going to, look first. Oftentimes they're wanting to find your Cage or your Dunn's so that they can go and look you up in SAM or the Dynamic Small Business Search. And that they're really like leaning on your capability statement for that information. But if it's not in your capability statement, that's just a bit of a barrier and it's going to take them a little bit longer time. The whole point of this is, to have your one pager, to have all the information that they want, accessible to them as easily as possible. So I would include a cage number and your Dunn's number in this section. It looks like, you have a little bit of space, scrolling completely out. When I was looking at this, I'm trying to think practically. It looks like you have space down below your NAICS codes. So if you kind of moved everything down a little bit, move your NAICS codes down a bit, your About Us section down a bit, that might give you a little bit of space underneath your website to expand to include a Cage and Dunn's number row for both of those. So that's something that maybe you want to consider and take a look at. Moving on, next is the About Us section, which is great. This is just basically going to give a snapshot of what your company does in a few sentences. Is what I recommend, and it looks like that's exactly what they've done here. And I'll just read it real quick. Universal Resolution Services is an established management consulting organization that practices an innovative concept to provide successful solutions in a procurement environment. There's a lot of big words in there. It sounds really good. I'm not sure exactly what that means. So I'm going to take a look at it again. URS is an established management consulting organization. Okay, got it. That practices an innovative concept to provide successful solutions in a procurement environment. So I get where you're going with that. You may want to dumb it down just a little bit, and maybe not even dumb it down, but maybe be a little bit more specific is what I'm getting at. If you're open to it, About Us section is not necessarily, crucial. Like you need to have it, but it's not going to make or break you or anything like that. But since we're taking the time to do a deep dive, maybe put a little bit more descriptors in there into exactly what it is that you do. But I go to say, it's 50-50 really, because your NAICS codes and your core competencies do go into more, specificities and descriptions. So, it's really up to you. I'm 50-50 on that. I like it. I'm good with it either way. Providing a global resolve in most capacities. So a global resolve, again, I'm not sure what that means or what a contracting officer would interpret that as. URS contributes high value workmanship in the areas of professional services, facility services, and medical office staffing. So and that last sentence here is really the payoff, because there's some more specific type stuff that aligns with these other areas of your statement. So just this first half, this first sentence, it's really up to you. It's not a big deal either way. I'm just being a little bit nitpicky because this is really good already, and I have to have something to talk about. So that is, that's a compliment to you. So just something to think about, to chew on if you want to take a look at that. Next, I'll jump down here at the NAICS codes, and I'll try to scroll. There you go, so that you guys can see those better. So NAICS codes, North American Industry Classification Codes. If you're not familiar, all NAICS codes have a size standard, and every company has a primary NAICS code, which is the primary NAICS that they're supposed to be conducting business under, as well as a size standard associated with that. So for URS, it looks like they've called that out perfectly. They put their primary NAICS codes as 541611 Management Consulting. That's really what their business is going to be all about. And that does go really well with their company summary up here. So they did a good job with that. Then secondary NAICS codes, these are just the additional NAICS codes that would be in your SAM profile. One thing that I like to caution for NAICS codes, well, two things really. Two things would be having too many NAICS codes that are dissimilar from each other, and number two would be just having too many NAICS codes. I don't think that's either of those are the case, but those are the two main filters that I look for. In a capability statement, I like to see 5 to 7 NAICS codes. And there's a bit more here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13. So there's 13 NAICS codes, including the primary. If you wanted to whittle that down and maybe just put a space in between each to make sure it takes up this block still, that's something to consider. And then looking at each particular NAICS code, they don't look like they're terribly too far apart. They all kind of make sense together, so that's good. They're not very dissimilar from each other. So the only thing I would consider is maybe reducing a few of the NAICS codes. If you don't mind giving up a few on here, still keep them in your SAM profile, of course. But that's something, I've been in a number of meetings with OSDBUs and small business offices, and that's really what they hammer on. So that's not a personal thing coming from me. Personally, for me, this would be fine, but I've had a number of small business reps tell me that anything kind of more than 7 or 8 might be a bit much, and that's they've even said that in regards to the SAM profile, which I'm personally a little bit more flexible with having more than that, but from a capability statement standpoint, I've heard that a few times. So something to consider for NAICS codes, but I think very good job here. Core competencies. We have facility support services, professional services, and medical office services. These are very black and white, straightforward. We know exactly what you're talking about. We have really strong and relevant bullet points under each title that go into more explanation of which of these titles are explaining. One thing that I want to point out to you guys watching, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. When I looked at this this morning, I really got a feel that this is an experienced company, or this company has some sort of mentor, or maybe there's a mentor protege. Something is going on here because this company has it together, and I want to explain what I'm getting to, because it's not exactly it doesn't really jump out to you. Me having a little bit of experience in the industry and knowing a number of companies that are successful and not successful, one of the things that I want to point out here when I say that these guys have it together, URS, the government buys all of these services. Like every single bullet point, these are spot on. And not only that, they're using the exact terms and wording and phrases that the government is using, at least in the federal space. And I don't always see this. And this is one of the things that jumped out to me, is like, this company's getting some work because they know exactly what they're doing here. So like I said, I don't know if there's some mentor or just experience. I'm not going to take that away. So this was probably just earned through experience and figured out. These areas are very good areas to go after, each one of them, in terms of going after government work. Like they've they've honed in on it, perfectly. I can't really overstate it enough. So what I want to point out is so many people who are new to government contracting, especially in the federal space, they say, oh, my company does this and I'm going to sell my services to the government. Okay, well, that's where most of us start out. And that's well and good, but eventually you're going to kind of learn a lesson, and it really does depend on what your industry is. It's not about what you want to sell, it's what they want to buy. So if you go into federal contracting with the attitude of my company does this and I'm going to sell my services to them, unless you're lucky, you're probably not going to be that successful, or you just happen to be perfectly aligned with what they're buying. You're not going to be speaking their language. And that's why, it may not jump out to a lot of you when you look at this. It may just look like more bullet points and headings, but I know these areas are all hot areas. And that comes through, like I said, some level of experience. And they have it. And that's really what is selling this whole capability statement to me. I know that these guys mean business. I know that they know what they're doing. And yeah, like I'm kind of putting myself as, the eyes of an OSDBU or a contracting officer or something. These are all just like, highlight areas, like, spotlights that are jumping out to me. If you go on FedBizOps, you can find opportunities for all of these. And that's what I hear from a lot of you is like, oh, I provide this, or I provide that, but I don't find much on FBO to bid on. Well, I'm sorry to tell you that, the not easy answer is you have to adjust to your business. You have to be flexible and adapt to what they want to buy. So if that means opening up, a new vertical into your business, then so be it. Because just because you have something to sell doesn't mean that they want to buy it. So I won't belabor that point anymore. That's the main takeaway that I wanted to take from this capability statement is these areas are spot on, and it looks like they've got over 15 of them that each one of them is just it's money. So you need to learn the areas where you got to. My old boss always told me, follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. You can't just sell what you have because nobody might give a damn. You have to sell what they want and speak their language, and then everybody's ears are going to perk up and say, hey, can you do this? So lastly, I kind of want to move on, but past performance highlights, they included in here. And I read this, and it's a bit of a summary of the CEO and the director. Well, I think it's mostly about the CEO. The company, the CEO served as a corporate trainer for Maximus, working directly with the VA, DHS, and for curriculum development. I'm just going through this really fast, so forgive me. Director of Medical Office Staffing has served in the United States Department of Navy. Thank you for your service from 94 to 2003. And then Director of Professional Services has served over 20 of administrative experience. This is something I wanted to point out right here. It's just like a small little typo. The Director of Professional Services has over 20 of administrative experience. I think you need to add the word years in here so it can say has over 20 years of administrative experience. This tells me that there is a lot of really strong experience of team members. I'm not sure if there is commercial or government past performance. If there is, you would definitely want to consider adding that to your capability statement, maybe in addition to this and restructuring this a bit. If you do not have any past performance and with the government or even with the commercial space, this is an excellent job of utilizing personal past performance. And that's what I always tell you guys. If you don't have past performance, use what you got. And so I'm not sure if that's what's happening here or not. If it is, a very good job. I applaud you for that. But if you do have some existing, which I feel like you might, just because, like I said, it looks like there's a level of experience already with these focal points for your business. If you don't, then, you're going to be getting some soon because this is great. But if you do, you might want to include some relevant contract awards in addition to the personal past performance in here. So that's what I say about this capability statement for URS. Overall, very, very good job. Again, very aesthetically pleasing. Love the choice of subtle colors. Organization is great. It's perfect amount of balance between white space and words. Like I mentioned, add a cage and a DUNS number. That is crucial. That's not something I would not only recommend. I think it's something you definitely need to do. And NAICS codes, you maybe space them out a little bit and take out a few just so the small business office doesn't complain. But that's up to you. I don't think that's as big of a deal. So let me catch my breath. I'm trying to say a lot here in a short amount of time because we've got a number of things to look at, but we can cross off capability statement off the list here for URS. Very, very good job. So next, what I want to do is, now I have a million tabs open with me. So bear with me rather. So next thing, again, if you guys are just tuning in, if you don't have a capability statement and you want to get a template, just head on over to my website, govkidmethod.com, click on GovCon resources, scroll to the bottom. There'll be a link that takes you to these because it looks like there's a number of people who have joined as well. Just reading some of the comments here. Okay, so next, what I want to do is I want to take a look at SAM. So I didn't pull this up ahead of time because I wanted to be able to show you guys. My Amazon order is coming. Awesome. I wanted to be able to show you guys how to search records. Again, as much as I can show you as possible. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. You go to sam.gov and we're going to pull up URS in the search records field. Now I'm going to search by DUNS number, which I happen to have. And you see, if you type it in correctly, which I usually mess up, but this time around I happened to type it in correctly. It pulls up the one and only Universal Resolution Services LLC. So what I want to do is I want to view, I believe it's view details. Yeah, I want to click view details, and then it'll take me to the limited information that an outsider can see. We can't see everything behind the scenes. That's reserved for the owner or the administrator of the company. But you can do this for any company. You know, if you want to look up your competitors or you know, whoever you want to look up, do a little bit of research, you can do this through the SAM search records as long as you have their cage or DUNS number. If you don't, you can search by their company name, but that is less specific and it may require a little bit more filtering and clicking around, but I've done it successfully that way as well. So as you can see here, there is a number of things that you're able to take a look at, most of them in which I'm not that interested in. One of the main things I want to see is socioeconomic status and NAICS codes. You know, like if someone's in an 8A program, I want to know when they're graduating, that sort of thing. I want to see if there's multiple office addresses. So I'm in entity registration right now. And business start date, you know, we can see that this was not too long ago. Looks like it was about 14 months ago, August 13th of 2018. So I hope you've had a great year so far, URS. You look like a fairly new company, which, you know, I applaud your capability statement because it looks like you did a very good job on that, of selling me on your professionalism and your ability to perform. General information, we know that this is, LLC incorporated. Looking at business types, we know that URS is a woman-owned, economically disadvantaged woman-owned, and this is self-certified. But actually, now that I got this link, I was looking for this link, so I'm going to open it up. If you ever need to, link to dynamic small business search, there's a link in here that sometimes I refer to if I'm doing research on a company. I'll show you in a second. Scrolling down, not too much. And then we get to NAICS codes. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So there's 17 NAICS codes in the SAM profile, which I think is fine. I would recommend that you don't go more than 20. My old company, we had a lot, and I had to be I wanted to take a whole bunch out, but I kind of had to be the sheep going to the wolves in the OSDB office, and I got yelled at by a couple of different offices saying we have too many NAICS codes. So I don't want that to happen to you guys. My hands were tied though. But so again, like I talked about in the capability statement, there's two things that I look for when it comes to NAICS codes: relevancy and similarness or similarity to each other. And then the number. So we just talked about the number. There's less than 20. I think we're good here. And then when you get to looking at how similar and relatable they are to each other, we have postal service, courier services, human resource consulting. I think there's a janitorial in here, telephone answering services, facility support. So these all are, there's a HMO, as well as Office of Physicians. So there's, a bit of admin, a bit of facilities, a bit of medical. And if you recall, facilities, professional, and medical are exactly the 3 tiers that make up this company. So these NAICS codes make perfect sense to me as to why they're in here. And like I said, those areas all kind of go together in terms of what the government buys. So they are similar enough to me. A great job on these. There's one that this very first one I thought was interesting. It has leather goods and allied product manufacturing. So all other leather goods and allied product manufacturing. That's one that just kind of stuck out to me as an outlier. Not sure if this one was a mistake, or maybe you were looking at an opportunity to go after, and you went after it, and you didn't take it back out or whatever. So that's one thing that I like to say about NAICS codes. You can always easily add them and then take them back out. So if it's a weird one that you don't want to stay in your profile or whatever, but you want to, maybe you have a contracting officer that says, hey, I know this is weird, but can you do it? And what are you going to say? No, of course you can do it. So you say yes, and you add this in. And then after that, you come and you take it back out. So it's super easy. It just takes 2 clicks. It takes a couple clicks to get in here and take it back out. But, just like 2 minutes. So yeah, this one I just wanted to call out. Not sure if this was meant to be in here or not, but not really a big deal. Not just a little bit of a head scratcher. That's all, but it's not really hurting anything as far as I'm concerned. So those are the primary areas that I look for. Where is so physical address, Texas, we already know that. I didn't see any other addresses. So aside from that, that's really all that I'm particularly looking for right off of the bat from a SAM profile. One thing that we know though is that SAM ties directly into the dynamic small business search. So if you recall, when I clicked on this link, I opened this up in a new tab. And this will just transition us to the DSBS next part of this video and live review, which is the dynamic small business search live review. And what you can do is you can search just like you did in SAM. And I'm going to search by DUNS number, so I'm going to plug that in again. 733. Now, if you type it in correctly, it should pull up on the first try. And it looks like I'm on a roll today. It pulled up. So now you see this is SBA. So it's SBA profile. It's actually SBA DSBS, Dynamic Small Business Search. And I talk about this, I talk about this in one of my courses, and I think a few videos out there. Part of your profile will pull automatically from SAM. The other part will not. So if you're kind of looking at this white screen saying, what is this? That means you have an incomplete profile. And actually, it turns out most people have an incomplete profile compared to those that have actually done this step. I consider this a mandatory step with anybody I talk to, because the dynamic small business search is the database that contracting officers will go and type into the search box and start searching for companies. And I'll just give you a quick little plug here. If you haven't set this up yet, I've got a how-to list over here on the blog, again at govkidmethod.com. What you can do is, it's right here, how to register your contracting business part 3, create your dynamic small business search. And if you just click on that, it actually gives you, this is an article I wrote. I've got a video kind of showing you how to do it, as well as I've actually written out and notated the steps. It's not too bad. It's not as hard as setting up your SAM and all that. So, if you haven't done that, you want to do that, you can go ahead and do that at that resource. But coming back, as you can see, so this first block of information, identification, location, and contacts, this pulls from SAM. So all of you have this automatically filled out. There's this place for a website that we will be looking at next. This is blank, and I know that URS has a website. So if they wanted to, they would just have to go into their SAM profile and add their company website. So that's something that I would add in there. Why not? But everything else, address, firm name, all that good stuff, cage code, year established, 2018. GSA Advantage contract, no. So, all basic information. Don't really sweat this too much. Phone number, email address, you get the point. Next, organization, ownership, and certifications. This is really where I'm looking for socioeconomic set-asides. So it's got a place for 8A. If there's 8A, it doesn't look like it. Small disadvantaged business certification. This is blank. However, I do believe that URS is or does qualify. So this is something that I would want to look back. And I believe this would pull from your SAM if I'm not mistaken. So if you go back into your SAM profile, entity registration, you can select that you're a small disadvantaged business, and then that will populate here as a yes, I believe. But if you're not an SDB, then you're golden and just leave it. I'm just not sure if you're aware of that or not. Again, there's no 8A joint venture, and other federal government certs, none given. So I actually thought that woman-owned would be in here because I know that they are woman-owned. I'm not sure if I'm missing something. Was it up here? I guess it's just because it's all up here then. Because up here it tells you you're economically disadvantaged, woman-owned, regular woman-owned, self-certified, small disadvantaged business. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Here it says small disadvantaged business, but over here it's blank. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Might be something to look into unless it's a different business certification. Next, this is one thing that I knew I wanted to point out, products and services. The capabilities narrative is blank here, and I know that this part you have to actually do through the dynamic small business search, because this is part of what I talk about in my blog post here, is actually setting up that part. So this does not pull from SAM. So you have to follow the steps that I gave you and go in and write your capabilities narrative. I recommend 3-4 sentences, just put a short paragraph in here. I would restate your socioeconomic statuses. I would put in as many keywords as you can in here in terms of the type of business stuff that you do. In this case, it would be these 3 core competencies, and with probably a few of the bullet points. So facility support, professional services, medical office. You can also include the date that you were founded and a sentence to your personal past performance, or if you have any other past performance that you just want to briefly say. And I say that because briefly, there's a section down here as well for past performance that we'll talk about in a minute. If you're a construction company, your bonding levels and limits would go in here. They do not appear to be construction, so these are all 0, and that's perfect. Your NAICS codes, as you can see, these are the same ones that automatically pull from SAM, so you don't have to really worry about those. And they have the primary NAICS code checked here, which is right on. Whenever you change them in SAM, they will automatically adjust and change in here. So again, you don't have to worry about it. Next, your keywords. So keywords I touched on just a second ago. I would add more keywords. URS did a good job at putting their top 3 tiers. I would highly encourage adding as many of the bullet points as the character limit will allow in terms of keywords. This is just SEO 101 stuff. If a contracting officer is looking for something specific, they may not just type in facility services or medical office staffing. They may type in, one of those bullets like phlebotomist or x-ray technician or, billing and coding or something. So you want to be specific in your keywords, as well as, general, just so that you cover all of your bases. So check out the character count when you go. Again, keywords have to be adjusted through, They need to be added, edited, or deleted through the dynamic business search as well. You can't do this in SAM. So you have to, again, follow the steps to get into here, DSBS, and then add these and build these out. It's a good job to put in your main. I would just recommend adding some of the specific ones as well. Just, put your, pretend you're a contracting officer sitting in the chair and searching for, a contract that they need a company for. Pretend you're that person searching, and, that'll get your wheels turning on some keywords to add as well. The last thing I want to touch on with this is the performance history. This is a bit of a hit or miss, and some people, and so this is your past performance, essentially. And this is a hit or miss because some people are afraid to put their past performances. I don't know why. I mean, I know the reason, I just don't understand or agree with it. Some business owners are afraid to put past performance in their dynamic small business search profile because they're afraid their competitors are going to try to go after their contracts. I've heard that said to me by a number of people, and I couldn't be more on the opposite end of the spectrum. And let me tell you why. The reason I disagree with not putting past performance in your DSBS profile is because your awarded contracts are public information anyways. You can go on, FPDS or a number of other procurement sites, and if someone wants your number, they're going to get your number. So all you're doing is you're doing yourself a disservice. And by the way, URS, I'm not saying that this is you. I should have started that. I'm not saying that you're doing that at all. I know other people have told me the reason, so it just kind of got me on that tangent there. You may just not have the past performances that you want to put in here, and if you don't have any, that's fine. Leave it blank. Once you have some, I would recommend that you put it in here. But for anybody who, like I was saying, anybody who's afraid to put your past performance in here because you're afraid that your competitors are going to go after your contracts, I will fight you on that, because there's other places that they can get that information, as and a lot more than just the few you put in here. They can find all of your contracts with the contracting officer's email, so that they can contact them directly. You don't even have to put that in here. You can just put the contract name, what it was, a rough order of magnitude, and a brief description of the scope. That way, at least when a contracting officer is looking at your profile and they see 2 or 3 of those, they're like, okay, this company's in business. They know what they're doing. I'm not taking a chance on, a new company with no experience, which is what it will look like if you leave this blank. It looks like you have no experience. So again, if you don't have experience and you're getting up and running, that's fine. But I do recommend that once you have something to put there, put it there. Do not be afraid of somebody trying to go after your contracts. Believe it or not, it's much harder to do. And we're probably not dealing with the size of, ginormous contracts that people would want to go after anyways. The size is just not going to be there for a lot of the small businesses that are starting out, for obvious reasons. So I hope this part was helpful in regards to the dynamic small business search. Some of it pulls, some of it doesn't. There's a few things I hammered on here that I think are really important that, and I'm talking to everybody. Again, I'm not just talking about URS. I think URS has, done a very adequate and good job in some areas. But just generally speaking, this is kind of what I look for in any, capability statement, any SBA profile, or any SAM profile that I look at. So guys, we are now on to the final part that we're going to look at, which is the website. Now, I do recommend that at some point you pop up a company website if you're going to do business with the federal government. It doesn't have to be a crazy website. It only needs a few tabs. It doesn't have to be anything really expensive. I'm not a tech guy myself. It took me a while to get my website to where it was or to where it is. So I understand. I get it. You don't have to do it right out of the gate. Don't let it hold you back from, getting registered and pursuing contracts. But I do recommend within your first year or two that you get a company website. And so we'll take a look at URS's website, and I'll comment on some areas that I think every website should have. So let's just take a look. Okay, so here we are at the ursfirm.com. Immediately hit with this beautiful picture for URS. Looks very professional. I've seen this picture on the capability statement as well, and I'm assuming that this is an owner, the owner rather. Again, with branding, this is part of what I wanted to start talking about. It ties in very nice. And the more you see something repeated, the more confidence. You all are familiar with marketing 101. It's just, it's a lot of it's a numbers game. So, going from the capability statement to the website, seeing this picture right off the bat lets me know, okay, I'm in the right place. I'm seeing the same thing that I was seeing. So I think that's great. And company name right off the bat, multiple times, 3 times here, I'm seeing URS. And I think it's done in such a way that is not repetitive or overwhelming. So I think really, really good job just, on the visual. One thing I do want to point out though, also right off the bat, is the functionality of the menu. So I'm not sure if you guys can see, we have a home tab right here. And this is just a little bit of a website recommendation. If you scroll, you see the other menu tabs pop up and then they go away as you scroll off of them. And that's just because the default color for the menu tabs are white. So white on the white background makes it almost impossible to see. I mean, and I'm pretty colorblind, so it is, impossible for me to see. When I first came to the website, I was like, oh, wow, they only have one tab. They just have a home tab. And then it was when I started scrolling down with this menu, which is nice, the sticky menu that goes up and down with you, that I was able to see. But when you go to the top, you can't see them. So, this is actually an easy fix. All you have to do is change the default color to this dark purple and then make your hover color the white that you have it. So you just got to switch out the colors so that when you hover over it, it'll be white. And then when you're not, it'll be a static dark purple, and your whole menu will be illuminated, and then it'll match as you scroll down. So that's something I would recommend just from a usability standpoint, is changing the colors so that you can see them when they're static. Just like the home one, you can see the home one all the time. But that, that's enough about that. That's a very easy fix. So scrolling down, we have our core competencies. I love this. I really like this a lot. Immediately hit with those 3 tiers again. Guys, like this is the 3rd time, or yeah, the 3rd, 4th time we're seeing these 3 tiers again. So it's the same consistent message throughout all of the marketing. Professional services, facility services, medical office staffing. The pictures really bring it to life. Now we're not stuck in the limitations of a capability statement. You can put some nice colorful photos now that we're on the website. And again, they've taken the bullet points and put those as subheadings or just bullet points underneath the headers for each of these. So beautiful, wonderful. And I'm just going to scroll through the whole homepage and then we'll start clicking on stuff. But I'll go through it relatively quick because we're not going to spend a super long time. Next, there's this nice full width banner that just stops you in your tracks. Welcome to URS. This is kind of giving you like a personal welcome, a personal greeting. I love it. Again, seeing these 3 check marks, just reminding you what you're all about. I love that. And there's a nice kind of message here about the company. There's an About Us button and a Contact Us button as well. So that'll link you to other parts of the website for a good click through. And then we have Why URS. So this will tell you a little bit about the company. And then an Our Services button, again, that will click you through to the website. And at the bottom, we have a very nice footer. One thing I actually meant to mention on the capability statement, but now that I'm seeing it on the website, there's this very nice, the SBA Woman-Owned Small Business logo. If you are an SBA approved woman-owned small business, and that's not just a self-certification, it's actually a process that you have to go through. Once you do that, take this logo and start sticking it on all your stuff, just like URS has. I think that's very good. It's something that gives you like a badge of credibility, and it really does just stick out. So I love that they've put that in the footer as well as the capability statement. And again, we're seeing Texas here. So the footer is very effective. So there's a couple things I'm going to want to talk about here, and I'm going to back into it. So I'm going to click on About URS. So this when you click on About URS, first you're hit with these 3 tiers, and it gives you some more information. Being founded in 2018, the founder, Nicolette Kennedy. All perfect, great. It's not too much. I love that. Boom, you're hit with the mission. Very good stuff. So what I'm really seeing is a lot of really good, effective stuff for a business website. And what I'm going to start backing into is adding a bit of the federal government flair and spice to that. One thing, when you click on core capabilities, it takes you here, but then when you click learn more, what I would like to see, and I'll go back. When you click on learn more for each one of these, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not. I'm not sure if it's a link issue, but each one of these should go to probably a page that expands on the services. Or ideally, this is what I'm referring to, what I want to back into. I would like to see a page. I always like to see a page dedicated to contracting. Just one page on the website dedicated to, basically what a government contracting officer is going to look at it. And so what that page could look like is, all 3 of these could link to that page. And then when you click on it, it would bring you to a page that, further expands on professional services. Maybe that's a good spot to add a paragraph for past performance if you have it. If not, talk about your capabilities on what you're capable of providing, more than just bullet points. Do that for each of these, and then also include the NAICS codes for the for each group of these. I would like to see those on that page as well. Make sure you put this nice "a woman of small business" down there. If it's the footer, it'll automatically pull if it's since it's in the footer. But what really I would like to see is you have that on there, and then in addition to those items of breaking these down and adding the NAICS codes, I would like to have you add your cage and your DUNS number to that page as well. So basically anything you could think of that you would want a contracting officer to see, which is essentially your one-page capability statement, that's really what we're doing in here. I would like to see this made into a page on your website with a different layout, probably a bit less information, and then some of these areas expanded on, so that you can basically just send everybody, every contracting officer, send them to that one page. They get all the information that they need, and then that way when they're clicking through your website and they go to click to learn more, they'll get taken to a page that will give them more detail. So that's really the main thing that I would say about the website, and it wouldn't take a whole lot to get there. I think this website's already, adequate for, the commercial world, except if you wanted to expand a little bit more on these, you could. But in terms of federal government contracting, and that's the lens that we're looking at, looking through today, and those are the things that I'm looking for. Those are the areas that a contracting officer is going to be looking at. And I don't see those here. So I would, recommend at some point you add that page. Again, not even all contracting officers go and look at your website, but, overall, today on all 4 of these areas, URS has done a really good job. I was really, really impressed when I saw what I saw. Looks like the Google Maps page isn't loading. I don't know if that's me or somebody else. If it's not loading, obviously, take a look at that. But I love the idea of having this. But yeah, overall, very, very good job. We've looked at the capability statement today, made a few recommendations, but man, this is, really professional looking. The SAM profile is spot on. The dynamic small business search profile that we looked at, a few things to consider adding: past performance if you have it, expand on the keywords, and add a capabilities narrative, and maybe look at that SDB certification in SAM if that's a thing. And that's really, really about it. If you guys if you're watching and you have questions, if you have anything that you want me to take a look at that you've seen on today's business review, let me know in the comments. If you want to have your own business review, I already have a few more lined up. As you could see in today's video, it's been almost an hour. I've spent 50 minutes, which I'm okay with because it allowed me to go into a deep dive on this one company, and I think that's most educational for you guys. If you guys are interested in getting, lined up to have your business reviewed just like this as well, just inbox me. You have to inbox me on my GovKidMethod page. Don't put anything in the comments because I need to be able to speak with you, and I need to be able to get you to send me some attachments. So inbox me on my GovKidMethod page. It'll let you send me a personal message, and I will respond if you're interested in that. But we're going to be doing these once every Friday, at least going into November. I have, I think, 3 or 4 lined up. That will take us into the holiday season. So, always send your information, because if one of those falls through or something like that, I don't know why it would, but I could try and squeeze you in. Otherwise, I'll be doing these as long as you guys find them helpful and you want to participate. I love the way